Hello, my two listeners. Today I want to talk about the Heritage Foundation Economic Freedom Map. You can find it on this site. You see up here, heritage.org index heat map. They made an economic freedom map every year since 1995. You can see here in the timeline. So on this map, you have the freest countries from a economical perspective with the color coding. The greenest green is the freest and the red is the most unfree. We have a lot of variables. You can see the overall score. So this map is the overall score of economic freedom, and this these other icons represent other maps. You can see we can click them and we see the state of the world, and you can also see the average score of the world here. So you can see that trade freedom overall is quite high. We have quite a bit of freedom, fiscal freedom and monetary spending, but excuse me, but financial freedom, property rights and freedom from corruption, on the whole, the world is horrible. Okay, let's see what countries are the freest overall economically. We see that United States it's pretty good, but Australia, New Zealand, and Switzerland are a lot better. Also, this tiny dot Hong Kong. It's one of the freest places on earth. What's kind of shocking is that Europe is not as free economically as one would like to think. Sad. Also, Chile. Did you know that Chile was this free economically in South America? Interesting. Interesting things come if you look at maps. Oh, look, here's my country, Romania. Woohoo. Hello. Not so free, but not so enslaved. Pretty good for its position, don't you think? Okay, let's see the first map. The first map is business freedom. So, business freedom, what does it represent? What did they analyze to make this ranking? Okay, if we want to understand, we have to look on Google. So, on the same site, we have the explanations of what those words mean. So, we look business freedom. What does it mean? We go on the site and we select open markets and say business freedom. Okay, under regulatory efficiency. And we see here they measured starting a business procedures. How much procedures does it take? How much days? How much it costs of income per capita? How much is the minimum capital? Again, obtaining a license, closing a business. It's very easy in these places that are green, strong green. I think nobody is shocked to find out that where it's easy to open a business and the bureaucracy is very small, the government doesn't interfere with your ability to create a business, they are the richest places on earth. On the whole, you have China that's becoming richer but not so free. Now, trade freedom. This is one of the freest economic indicators in the world. That means that countries can trade between them without government interference. Again, government. Less government is better for everyone because everyone is richer, except the people that run the government. Fewer barriers, fewer tariffs, everyone benefits. Of course, you can see China benefits now more than United States because they have dark green, so they have some barriers. So the goods that come from the United States to China have prices that are artificially inflated, but the other way around doesn't happen. So when you have barriers, it distorts the market. But things are improving rapidly here. Fiscal freedom. Okay, so under limited government, we have fiscal freedom. And if we want to see what they measured, we click on more. So the top marginal tax rate for individual income, the top marginal tax rate on corporate income, and the total tax burden as a percentage of the GDP. So what this measures is how much of your money you pay in taxes. The taxes are smaller, you see. You can see here which government spends the most money in comparison with a country's GDP. Government spending. Okay, now, so this component considers the level of government expenditures as a percentage of the GDP. Government expenditures, including consumption and transfer, account for the entire score. The countries that spend the most money, and as you can see, Europe is hellhole. It's quite a communist paradise. A lot of the GDP is spent by the government, so you would expect economic stagnation, and that's always less effective, and then people spending their own money. You see, you're not spending other people's money with the same care that you spend your own. Okay, so you see a lot of places on Earth that may be considered free from government spending, but Africa, because the states are not providing any services, of course, they can't raise taxes because the population is very poor and they would starve to death if they took some big percentage out of that. So this is not actually free, it's more like ineffective. Okay, but we have, look, China, that spends far less money from its economy by state means than Europe. So you see, this we consider communist, and this we consider democratic and capitalistic. But I have my doubts. And United States, close to Europe, they're dragging closer. They want to become Europe. Oh, good luck. Good luck. And Australia behind United States. I think this is the disaster chain. It's gonna happen, folks. It's gonna blow. Monetary spending. Monetary spending. Mostly free. I don't care what it means exactly. Investment freedom. So you can invest freely in the green countries with little barriers and legislation. That's good. Europe, United States, Australia, the rich places. Financial freedom. What does financial freedom mean? Okay, financial freedom is under open markets. It's a measure of banking efficiency as well as a measure of independence from government control and interference in the financial sector. Okay, state ownership of banks and other financial institutions such as insurers and capital markets reduce competition and generally lower the level of services. It's an ideal banking and financial environment where a minimum level of government interference exists. Independent central bank supervision and regulatory and financial institutions are limited to enforcing contractual obligation and preventing a fraud. So, good thing to be free of. Some of Europe, Canada, US, Chile, Australia, New Zealand. Property rights. where property rights are respected, where people are not expropriated by the government when the government pleases, where some respect for property is high. Again, we see these countries the most. We see United States and Canada, Sweden, Finland, Norway, Britain, Germany, France sometimes, Australia, New Zealand, and Chile. You always see this country, and Japan sometimes. You see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11 countries. 11 countries. Freedom from corruption. Again, where corruption is low, things are better. People are richer because there are no thieves to destroy the market, the capital, okay, and labor. So people in the red and orange places have minimum wages that have a lot of regulations. People that have businesses have to pay a lot of taxes for each employee, so it's harder to be employed. So you see, it's better to have less government involvement. As you can see, if you have less government involvement everywhere, you are free. Okay, the next thing I wanna see is how the world evolved. We have here a graph that shows us the evolution by year. We have the world axis, the world graph. Now I clicked on the overall score. So we have mostly free. We see that the higher the score, the freer the world is. Moderate, repressed, mostly unfree. So we see a slight increase. Now we are at 60.7 overall from 57.6. So it's a slightly increase in freedom, economic freedom in the world as a whole. In 20 years, this is what we're proud of. This. You see, if you feel that you have stagnated, that you didn't earn more, that you are losing money, you see, it correlates with stagnation of freedom. Freedom is not just a concept, I like to be free, but it doesn't really matter. No, if you are freer, you are wealthier. If you are poorer, you are more unfree. And so you watching Netflix is a result of increases in freedom, not magic. Okay, so business freedom. Oh, business freedom declined in the world. That's wonderful, you see? That's wonderful. That means it's harder to open a business all over the world than it was in 1995. That means it's harder to compete. That means corporations can earn more money and pay you less because they have less competitors. So you see, making it easy, getting the government out of the way of businesses will actually increase the competition and shrink corporations. If you don't like corporation, vote for smaller government. Trade freedom. This increased. You see, this is the kind of increase you want to see in freedom. 1995, 58%. 76% 21 years later. That is now mostly free and hopefully free in a couple of years. From mostly unfree, that's a big change. Fiscal freedom, another big change. That's a good thing. Government spending quite steady. Of course, from the economic crisis, they went down a bit, but they're trying to catch up. They're trying to spend more. Monetary spending, investment freedom, stagnated. It's practically the same as 1995. So that's horrible. Financial freedom, it's gone into repress. That's negative. That's a decrease. It's repressed now from mostly unfree in the world. Property rights, this is a beauty. You see, your right for property is declining as a world average, of course. This is really bad. This means that do not own something. That means the government can easily come and take your stuff that you worked your whole life for. That's something to worry about. Corruption, stagnant with a little hope at the end. Labor freedom, stagnant. So you see, as a whole, the world is quite stagnant. Things going up but also down, and the rest staying the same. This is not a good thing.